In this episode, I'm going to tell you what your podcast one sheet needs to have. Stay tuned. Hey everyone, thanks for joining me for today's episode of Interview Connections TV. I am super excited because this is the first video of the season that we are back on the bike path, filming a video here with my little boy Nathan. In today's episode, I want to talk about what goes into a successful and effective... You want to go back to Nani's house? Okay, let's go. Okay, we're changing directions. We're going back to Nani's house. So in this episode, I want to tell you what goes into a really effective and successful podcast one sheet. Now, first of all, a podcast one sheet is something that you definitely want to have if you want to be booked for interviews on podcasts. It's kind of like a media kit or a press kit, but the difference is this is aimed specifically at podcasters. The purpose of a podcast one sheet is to give podcasters everything they need, all the information they need to not only say yes to having you on their show, but to also being prepared to interview you on their show. So number one, your podcast one sheet should be designed and branded for your business. It should match the branding of your business. It should have your headshot. It should have all of your business logos, covers of your books, all that good stuff that just stands out and makes you look really professional and somebody that wants to be booked for interviews. Number two, you should have your bio on your one sheet. And it's important that your bio reads, number one, in third person. It's important that your bio is short enough so that a podcaster could read it to introduce you to the show. And it's important that it covers, that makes you look good. It positions you as an expert. So read through your bio and think, first of all, is this a good length for someone to use as a podcast intro on their show? And does this kind of cover the main topics and highlights that listeners would hear and then want to stick around to hear a whole interview with me? Number two, your podcast one sheet should have some interview topics and some interview questions. Now, suggested interview topics are good, but to have interview questions is going to make it so much easier for a podcast host to say yes to having you on their show. And then you also want to have all of your contact information, the ways that podcasters can connect with you. Most importantly, you'll probably know that you need your email and your website and your social media links, but most podcasts are recorded on Skype. So you want to make sure you have your Skype handle right on your one sheet. That way, if you pitch me to be a guest on my podcast and you send me your one sheet, I have everything that I need. I'm totally prepared right there. I've got your bio, I've got your questions, I've got your interview topics in case I want to create some of my own questions. I have your Skype name, your phone number, your email, your social media links. Everything I need is on that sheet. So just be sure that you have all of those elements on your podcast one sheet, and you will definitely be on your road to a ton of successful podcast interviews. I am Jessica Rhodes. I am your host, and I'm committed to helping you leverage your brand through the power of authority and expertise. Be sure to check out Roads to Success, my podcast, at rtspodcast.com. And check out my show, The Podcast Producers. This is a show created by myself and Corey Coates over at podfly.net, who I highly recommend for all of your podcast editing and producing needs. And it's a 10-episode audio series that goes through the art and business of podcasting. So that's at thepodcastproducers.com. And then check out interviewconnections.com/guest if you want to learn how we can work together and get you booked as a guest expert. Thanks so much, everyone. Have a wonderful, productive week, and I'll talk to you next Tuesday.